program in the valley. None. So you guys promised in your justice to go through Rainier Valley, you were going to assist us. That you haven't. I've got a letter before City Council telling the council that you guys are discriminated. I want the Human Rights Commission to look into the preferential treatment the white contractors have been getting. Right. That preferential treatment needs to be brought up, and they need to go because a preference goes on for whites, and there's no preference for anyone else.
All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fry. I understand that TVC will be cutting us off promptly at 8 o'clock. So before our television audience leaves us, I want to thank you for tuning in. We do look forward to the Human Rights Commission summary report, which can be found on their website at www.seattle.wa.us/civil/COMM.HTM. And again, thank you to our viewing audience for joining us for this very, very lively discussion. I think that we have covered a tremendous amount of ground on the issues both concerning our women and minority-owned businesses, both pre and post 200. And most importantly, I think that something positive and constructive can come out of this. And so I want to thank all of our panels, our government representatives here, Phyllis Lane, Ken Nakatsu, Judy Edmondson, from King County, City of Seattle, and Port of Seattle, respectively. We also want to thank our expert panelists for joining with us and your very sharp and critical questions, which I'm sure the Human Rights Commission will agree is going to be very important as they continue to take up these discussions. I especially want to thank the Seattle Human Rights Commission and Seattle Council member Peter Steinbruck for making this evening possible. I think special note needs to be made to the Economic Justice Committee of the Human Rights Commission for their leadership in this. And I would, to conclude the program, a member of the Economic Justice Committee and the Human Rights Commissioner, Charles Jones, to make closing remarks.
Basically, the only thing I really wanted to say is that a lot of ideas and a lot of issues were presented tonight, and we want to thank you for those. But I want you to also be aware of the fact, thank you, that Sharon has provided us with a heavy load to participate in, and a lot of you talked about being willing to help and stuff. So I want to invite you to not just make a list of your questions and comments and stuff, but we need your help to make sure this is the paper that we want it all to be. So I want you to not just simply write down a question and leave, but stick around and talk to us and volunteer your time to help us with this important project. Again, I want to call your attention to the goldenrod pieces of paper in the back if you're interested in getting a written copy of the report, but more important than just getting a written copy, we need you to participate. Thank you very much for coming out this evening. Have a good evening.
Hey, it's good to see you.
From me, I'd like to thank the mayor for embracing the council's recommendations and for the council members for putting so much effort into this and to having a result that I think is top drawer and some of the best in the industry.
Great. Thank you, Bill. David?
Thank you, Mayor, for embracing this and getting it started. These are very good first steps with the relaunch of the website and the channel, particularly in this fall. One of the advantages we found was that they are integrated already, which is a key to using the strengths of both television and the web technology. We found a lot of strength in TVC. Very good people working at that, getting an enormous amount out of these few nickels that they've had up to this point. And we also found, not surprisingly, that Seattle is terrific city to be, I think, the leader in what we might call this municipal channel, democracy portal approach. There is great technological sophistication here, as is obvious. There's great media idealism as well as ideas that are looking for outlets to do more experimentation. As Norm Langell was a constant advocate for that. You've got flexible, easy technology that can go to unusual places that lie under the radar of conventional media, places where imagination exists, where people are, and where the discourse is authentic and lively and genuine. So it's very rich with promise, and it's nice to see the city embracing this idea as strongly as it does. And obviously the city gets some real advantages from that. Good feedback from people, and a way of putting forth the ideas unmediated by enabling people to see democracy in progress. At Town Hall we did 13 forums in the last half year on the international crisis. And bringing interesting people from around the country, including some of the great resources in this area on international understanding. Big crowds, wonderful events, electric in many ways. TVC covered every one of them. Thousands of people were able to see this, in addition to the thousands who came there, because cable TV was there, as were other cable channels. Going out to where discourse is happening, going out to where the community is gathering, which the new technology really makes possible. Affordably recording this, archiving this, and broadcasting it live is a tremendous gift to the community, as well as to organizations such as Town Hall, who are set up in order to enrich live thinking in public and bringing back these traditions of making decisions in community by hearing all kinds of different voices. One other thing that is exciting, and that is about Seattle and about this new technology, is the cultural richness of this community. We know about the artistic richness. It's an unusual city in that way. We're getting to know more about the different cultures of ethnicity and their culture in this community. They need stages, they need audiences, they need ways of bringing that rich culture to all of the cultures of the city. And so the kinds of things with which the remote broadcast now will be able to do, evenings of Vietnamese love songs on the stage at Town Hall is one thing we've done. The kinds of tremendous activity going on at Seattle Center, in which we come to understand the cultural richness. This is a vibrant, pluralistic democracy, and here we have one of the most powerful tools for people to understand that in their bones every day, and in a way that is very convenient. So it's been thrilling to be a part of this, and we're going to keep the council and the mayor on track, making sure that these first commitments end up in a few short years in Seattle, among its many distinctions of having the finest such channel in the country. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, David. I'd also like to acknowledge the other members of the commission who are here. Norm Langell, who is president of One Reel Productions. Margot Gordon, who's a professor and dean emeritus for the University of Washington's Evans School of Public Affairs. And Jean Walkinshaw, who is a documentary film producer at KCTS Television. So thank you for your great work on this. And now we're going to have a little bit of before and after presentation, assuming that the technology works, which we are assuming. This, I'm told, is the old. But as a former council member, I find this fascinating. And good television.
When we view Seattle's skyline, we are seeing not only the buildings here today, but the vision of people who came here 15 decades ago, hoping to carve from the dense forests, mountains, and nature a better life. Hello, I'm Galen Goff, and welcome to Seattle Focus. This month, we're commemorating the birth of Seattle. So I'm here at the Museum of History and Industry to give you a peek at a fascinating new exhibit reflecting the rich heritage of our city and the diverse contributions of its people. Historian Walt Crowley will introduce you to some of Seattle's pioneers with a trip back to the city's birthplace. Next, we'll join Kelly Gunther for a walk along a trail paved with memories of the early years of West Seattle. We'll visit the Log House Museum for a talk with a descendant of Chief Seattle. And we'll view the restoration of an historic, once missing mural.
Have we lost control? Okay.
Well, we know how to turn it on, but and then actually, what I can show you over here is a prototype of the website. And the same video. And this can be either a live council meeting, or it could be the channel signal as it's coming out, or perhaps even an archive video that you pick out because you're interested in a particular view. And I really do want to thank Microsoft Studios that invited us over, and this is something we put together in a day. Work with us and help us put together this prototype. We've got polling, this is just a prototype here, but go there, it might show you previous polls. We haven't made up these figures, and here is an example of where you might pull up a video and then get other information, get related videos. These videos eventually will be set up so that you can go directly to the particular part of the information that you want. You don't necessarily have to listen to the whole thing. So if you're interested in a particular topic that the City Council is talking about, and you know it's on a meeting, we will eventually be able to let you go and just click on that, and you can skip all the boring stuff and go directly to the issue that you're interested in. This is obviously a goal. Take us some time to get there, but very exciting, and I think you'll see this fall quite a lot of this is going to be.
Are you Seattle artist Rhoda Zimmer?
Well, they thought I kind of looked like her, so.
Well, great. Thank you, Rhoda. And we'd be happy to take any questions. I do note that there are none of the commercial television news stations are here. I think they hear footsteps, perhaps. Well, great. Yeah.
You say this is about democracy. How is this two-way? How do citizens communicate with you?
Katrina. Well, I don't know. You think that was racial? Well, I don't know. I think you're being a little emotional about that. It's really a class issue. Actually, the people didn't want to leave. That's their problem. They just didn't, try to, all of the things you've heard to try to legitimize what we saw. We all saw it. And do you think the children, and I spoke to some of the children, I just got back from the 9th Ward a week ago, and they said, Mom, Dad, how come we're all black? They weren't confused. But if you did, somewhere in your being, begin to feel some empathy, which you should have felt. Many people didn't. They didn't feel empathy. They felt shame. Oh, that's a shame. Oh, that's horrible. It's a shame. But they didn't empathize. Stay with me. It didn't come from their heart. There was more empathy for the cats and dogs. Empathy, people, tears, and the rescuing of little puppies. But they couldn't empathize about those multitudes of black people. But why? Why couldn't they feel their way there? And when people started to say, God, I'm kind of feeling something. Maybe I'm looking in the face of my child when I see them, regardless of your race. Maybe when some people began to say, gee, I feel something. This is wrong. They said, well, wait a minute. They're looters and rapists, don't you? Stay with me. So you can wrap yourself in that. You can go to sleep because they're not really good people. They did it again. And then they blocked out everything as though it went away. So we are not strangers to this dehumanization. We're not strangers. And then all is well. And then we begin to hear enough people say, well, they just were stupid. They didn't want to get out. All of the things. And then we can go to sleep at night and forget about them. And so I want you to understand just how intricately it's woven into who we are, how it calms us. But I'm saying we need to be shaken up. And that's what Katrina did. Thank God it awoke us. It awakened us to the reality of what has always been. So we have to first dehumanize people in order to sleep at night. That's how and Linnaeus helped us with that. Linnaeus helped us. So how does that hate then become a part of policy? Then you have to determine how are these people to be treated. You all remember the 3/5 compromise? Madison, had to figure out how to calculate black people and the number of people in the state. And a lot of black people don't understand how that happened because the whole reason why we came over to this country when they got us here was about money and power. And it persists. It persists. But let's talk more specifically about what I consider to be unsanitizing American history. The unsanitizing of our atrocities. This is actually a part of my book. I want you to know that when I wrote the book in such a way that it was a map. It wasn't conjecture, it's history. Studying American history in schools, we learned about the excesses of the Roman Empire, the viciousness of Stalin's Soviet Union, the brutality of the Nazis. We learn about the barbarity of the Mongols and the cruelty of the Huns. You can easily add to this list the Japanese during World War II, the Viet Cong, and the Hutu Nation. Currently, we have Serbia, Hussein's Iraq, the Taliban, and Osama bin Laden, to name but a few. Certainly, all of those listed above are responsible for their fair share of atrocities. But missing from this list is one society that is responsible for some of the most gruesome crimes against humanity in history, the United States of America. While the powers that be, where am I in time? Y'all know I don't have a concept of time. I got how much time? 5? Okay, well, I'm going to have to roll this up. While the powers that be in America are happy to talk about others' crimes, they seem to be reluctant to truly confront their own. With respect to the genocide of Native Americans and the enslavement and later oppression of those of African descent, the history we in this land learn has been greatly sanitized. In many regards, this was the hardest chapter of the book to write. For weeks on end, my research took me to narrative stories and reports that knotted my stomach, moved me to rage, and brought me to tears. How do I make real the pain and suffering of our ancestors? How do I give their experience appropriate recognition? How do I bring to people's awareness the vileness of those that perpetrated these crimes? In some ways, this can never be done because we have trouble confronting such pain and suffering. We really don't want to put ourselves in their place. For most of us, it's just too hard. Even many of the accounts written by those who lived through these times are strangely absent of emotion, as if no words could communicate their experience. Have you ever really suffered from a migraine headache? Have you ever had a terrible case of the flu? Have you ever had to battle cancer? Have you ever been in a car accident or injured yourself so badly where the pain was so intense and persistent that all you wanted was medication to knock yourself out? In these moments, the pain and misery consumes you. It's all you can think. It's all you can feel. It's all you know. Now imagine being in a constant state of hunger, pain, and thirst. When you can get past your physical state, you're greeted by feelings of fear, anger, grief, and hopelessness. Imagine giving up your dignity, your identity, your will, your soul to relieve your seemingly endless suffering. What effects must such compromises have on a human being? It is no wonder the transatlantic slave trade, slavery, and the times that followed are usually given such short shrift in the recounting of our history. This is hard stuff. Far too many people say, of course the Middle Passage was bad, of course slavery was bad, of course Jim Crow and lynching were bad. But rarely are people willing to look at what bad really was. So we need to take a look at that, but I think more importantly, we have to understand how we heal. How do we heal from such things? I believe that truthfulness is a foundation of all human virtue, that it is the secrets that keep us sick. And we have some awful secrets in America, awful secrets. And the only way we can heal from them is to look at them, to address them, to clean out that wound so we can move on, so that my grandson and my granddaughter have a chance, so that your grandson and your granddaughter have a chance. When we understand the intrinsic nobility of all human beings, when we recognize that what I see in you is in me. Mankind is one from every level one can imagine. Genetically, as long as they've tried to prove our difference, they have come to the conclusion that there is less different about us than is similar. We are more alike than anything else. We are human beings. And why, for the life of me, it takes so much for us to recognize each other's humanity, it still escapes me today. But that is how vile racism is and how vile hatred is. It's taught at the breast, this racism. Some of you say, but I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. Yet you benefit from it. You benefit. And you don't tell your children when they go home to visit grandma and grandpa who are racist. You don't tell them. And when they get to grandma and grandpa's for the summer, and they say to them, now don't tell your mom and dad, but you know you don't ever want to trust those people. And don't ever marry them. Those are the little things whispered in the ears of your children by grandma and grandpa. And if they don't get whispered in the ear, then America tells them the right story. America subtly, there's a commercial and it's amazing. I want you to look at it. It's a commercial actually about computers. And it's all white children doing hip hop. And they say, now you can be smart and hip. Stay with me, white kids. Because to be hip, you got to be stupid, because that's what black people are, you see. But these are all white children, so you can be both hip and smart, because they're all holding computers. Subtle, though, isn't it? Subtle. So I want to say that we're capable of healing, and we're only capable of healing by embracing the truth. There's a statement that says, I arrive at my self-esteem in this way. I am not who I think I am. And I am not who you think I am. I am who I think that you think that I am. That's how children arrive at their self-esteem, based on how significant others appraise them. So one has to ask, how is it a black child doesn't love themselves by age 6? How is it that the color of my skin dictates what I think about beauty or the texture of my hair? How is it in 2005 that's true? And it's not just true for black people. It's true for Native people. It's true for Latinos who are just a little too dark. Hair is a little too kinky. And we've been told that's bad.
$1,000 of the proceeds of this event and make 2 scholarships in the amount of $500 to go to such organizations or youth. And I'd like you to give a hand to my council for doing that. It's a great opportunity. Thank you. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to just thank you, the audience, you the folks who support us year after year. I see some real faces that I see all the time, and I'm glad to see that Mark Shidrin's here. I'm glad to see Chief Kurlikowski here. I want you to know that WTO came back to Seattle, and for those of you who don't know, the chief was walking hand in hand with everybody, kissing the babies and doing the right thing, and we had no trouble in Seattle, and I'd like to thank him personally. Thank you.
Now, for those of you who have your programs, you can see that there's a biographical list of information about Brother Braxton, and so I am not going to indulge in the reading of that. And although I've come to know this brother in a short period of time, there's a very special feeling that I have for him. And so I want to introduce him in my way, my special way of feeling. I've often wondered as a historian, and some of you know that I've taken the time to dive into our history as a folk in this country, beautiful black folk in this country. And I've listened and read about some dynamic speakers, like Sojourner Truth, and but that's an easy name, but the story isn't so easy. I remember when Sojourner was out giving a presentation once about the evils of slavery, and this man said, Sojourner, sister, whatever your name is, what you got to say about slavery has as much significance in my life as a flea bite. And that sister looked at him with quick wit and said, well, mister, by the grace of God, I'll keep you scratching. So I wish I could have been there to hear that type of presentation, to hear that type of wisdom. I wish I could have been there to hear Sister Fannie Lou Hamer. I've had the presence of being in front of Maxine Waters and hearing that beautiful sister, so I've seen that lineage. I wish I could have been around and heard Brother David Walker with his provocative speeches about the condition of our folks in this country. Even now, as I read the writings of Martin Delaney, and Martin was a brother who had a house on the Underground Railroad, and Martin said something that just makes me feel good. He said this. He said, if any person should come to my house, any slave catcher, be you a sheriff or a constable, a judge, even on the U.S. Supreme Court, if you walk through the thresholds of my house in search of my brethren, if I don't lay your corpse lifeless at my feet, may the grave reject my body. That's my brother's keeper. Now, I wish I could have been in the presence to hear that. And I say all of that to say this, that I've been in the presence to hear this brother on 3 or 4 occasions. And when I've heard him speak, I feel that way, that I no longer have to wonder what it must have been like to hear my great brothers and sisters of yesterday speak. Because now, as I sit in his presence and I hear him, I know that 200 years from now, they are going to listen to his tapes and they're going to ask what it must have been like to sit there and hear such a provocative, dynamic, and captivating speaker like the one you are about to hear. I remember this past Monday when he and I walked in the march, and his wife was there and my wife was there, and we engaged in conversations, and I shared with them. I said, brother, too many times we as black men, we don't show each other enough love. And so I just want to say to you how much I love you and how much I appreciate you and how you move me with your words. And he looked at me and he just hugged me. And we walked on, and I said, brother, it's no doubt to me that you've been touched by God, gifted. And I've never, ever seen that in my presence. I've never seen it. And he shared with me a story about his grandfather. Said his grandfather was 61 years old. I think he had dropped out of school and he was in about the 4th grade. but he wanted to get his GED. And so he went to the library. And every time he went to the library, he took this young boy with him. And it was there in the library that he became inspired with the power of words. And so tonight, you are about to hear the legacy of that beautiful grandfather through his grandson. I introduce to you with all of my heart, my sincerity, a brother that I love and adore, Brother Reverend Braxton.
Now, for those of you who took Brother Mac literally, don't be so naive and don't be so gullible. He told me, he says, I don't want to do a long introduction of you. I said, good, because those who need one don't deserve it. And those who deserve one don't need it. And so then he went and did a long introduction, which may be interpreted as he thinks I need it. And sometimes in people in expressing their fond affections, they can put you up so high there's nowhere to go but down. Amen? So let me reset the temperature and just say, I'm Claudette's boy. And Claudette's sitting right over there in her red dress. Stand up, Mama. Stand up, Mama. Now that's the best mama in the whole world. When we grew up, she said, we may be poor, but ain't nothing ugly in this house. And my mama was pretty then, my mama's pretty now.
That's right.
And as Freddie Jackson would say, she put on her red dress. And she's standing next to the most beautiful woman in the world. And that's the mother of my children, my wife Sheila, who's in her white dress. And when you are surrounded by beautiful women, as a man, you just feel good all over. I know I'm not in church, but I ought to have a witness up in here. I want to show you beautiful people. I want all the people of Mount Zion Baptist Church to stand. All the people of Mount Zion Baptist Church. Give them a great big hand. And I applaud you because I think that they are the greatest people of God anywhere in God's vineyard, and every pastor should feel that way about his folks. And Reverend Landry says amen for the people of People's Institutional. And I don't know what I've done in life to be so lucky to be a part of God's move in Mount Zion. A church with now 111 years of history and still going. And for God to look beyond all my faults and choose to give me an unmerited favor and conscript me into an unfolding story, that God can do extraordinary things with ordinary folks. I am thankful. If God doesn't bless me again in life, he's already blessed me enough that if I had 10,000 tongues, I couldn't praise him enough for bringing me thus far. I am happy, happy, happy to be here on tonight. I'm happy to see all of the elected officials. And so let me say good evening to everyone within protocol and everyone who I can't think to call. I do want to make a special acknowledgement of Gil Kurlikowski, the new police chief here in the city of Seattle. I think of him often when I look at the news and they talk about 25 consecutive days of snow, and I want to call him up and say, we survived. And people used to often lie.
Yeah, you need another retro. Oh, okay, so we need another one.
wrench anybody.
Scott, can you borrow your rack?
Alrighty.
Yes.
They're putting on.
You want the exact opposite. Alright. I think you need.
You want to go out the other way.
Yeah, just there.
I can do that.
Yeah. So this is where you guys.
Wait, not too fast. Oh, I'm fast. I'm matching my, taking my cues. Let's see. All right. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to need to learn.
I got you. You can hold that end and I'll. You need one to hold, so.
Got it?
You got it, Mark?
They'll just ratchet on you.
Oh,
Yeah.
good idea.
All right. Great.
All right, that goes up there. What's the picture? Need a picture.
See, one goes on.
Yeah, I know. The spacer panel that's going to be right in between here, but
Okay, this one goes there, that goes there.
And you need a panel? Okay, and I think you need...
Don't you need a...
Yeah, just like that. Yeah, with the handles on the inside.
No, you know what?
No, it goes the other way.
I think
Goes
this
the other
needs to
way.
be flipped over.
Flipped over. Flipped over.
There we go. There you go. There, like that.
Thank goodness you're here.
There we go.
All righty.
Only because we've had our kids on these things before.
Good.
There you go. All right. Hey, all right. All right, now what color bolts do we want on that one?
The holes. You want the holes out though?
Like long pink ones?
You want these holes out?
The holes on the inside. Inside.
So you gotta switch sides. So we need to switch sides?
I would think you need to switch.
What do you mean? Exactly like that. There you go.
Oh, okay. The holes go all the way.
And this hole goes right there. That hole goes there. And what's on the side?
No, but there's some holes here that only appear on one side.
The holes are supposed to be on the inside, right?
Right. Top of
Holes
that,
on the inside?
Washer.
Well, then I don't.
Which way's the inside?
We need a washer, hex pin, screw.
Which way's the inside?
No, both those are
Now,
exactly
did
the
you
same.
need...
That's perfect right the way you have it.
No, too small.
A little longer.
Need the long, no, the long,
Yeah,
long
no, you're
piece.
talking about the holes that are like little tiny ones. Those are pilot holes for Jerry.
Does that work?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yay or nay? Where does this thing go? Just here? Okay.
That one right
That
there.
work? Here's the
Now we need
number.
a, now we need a nut. We need a nut.
We need a.
We need a nut. I think it's this.
I don't know.
Does that work there, guys?
It works, but I don't know if that's what it calls for. Got one. Got your two washers? Put a washer here.
Oh, washer.
Let's see,
If
it
it works.
says.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
What if we need those
Standard hex
later?
nut. There we go. Yeah, washer. And then a
It's a good thing the Parks Department comes afterwards.
3/8. Oh.
I'm good at
We got the regular.
Sure.
There you go. Put this in here. Got that?
Well, we're gonna need them here. Who should you ask?
All right. You can also, here, I'll hold it. You go ahead and twist it. Turn around. Around this way. Make it go faster. There you go. Oh, you're that too long? No, keep it on there. Hold it. Tighten it up again. One more time, you guys. Hold it as far down as you can. There you go.
Slide this around a little bit.
Alrighty. No, the governor just got it covered.
I don't know if you had the other picture with us. Huh? I didn't know if you had any of the picture with us.
Sorry. Oh no, you're fine. I just wanted to... Are you up for shifting gears and doing some lifting?
All about. Some lifting. Okay, let's do
you
that.
are,
please Pam, my wife over there.
Ben!
Hey, Steven. Hey, Pam.
Head back down. That
Pam.
way. He's down there.
Kind of funny. The one girl there.
How you guys doing over here? You guys doing
Just coming back.
Come on, Mark. No.
We got a really big raft right here. Oh, maybe it's already on this one over there.
Hold still. Let's find out where he wants it first. Where's it going?
There we go.
Have railing, we'll travel.
You're gonna hand it to.
Nope.
I got it. You okay with that side? Yeah. You guys feel comfortable with me? You might need a third. Yeah, let's get a couple guys. Yeah, hold this thing for me so it doesn't move. Fall over.
Yeah, you're fine.
113.
Right here.
Hey, you got your clamp on? No. That's just the side. I get mine in there. I got you. Push the bottom. A little more. Up. No, just the bottom. Josh, push back with it.
Response to that as well.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Let me first of all say that just reviewing these figures, the statistics that have been provided in terms of background pre-I-200 and post-I-200, they are very discouraging, to say the least. The problem is that you're trying to transition from an enforcement program, one with teeth in it, saying these are your goals, and there's a penalty associated with not meeting these goals, to a program which says, would you please hire some minorities in the interest of some marginal incentives? Now, the dialogue I heard a few minutes ago concerning there aren't enough qualified contractors, that sounds to me, I'm an old man and I've been in this business for a long time. And I can remember when they were saying there just aren't any African-American engineers there. We would hire them if they were there. I'm an engineer. I can remember when they said there just aren't any qualified African-American clerks there. If they were, we would hire them. I think that's a bunch of crock of mush. If you excuse me, I'm being very kind. It's nonsensical. And to present that in a discussion like this, I think is to insult everyone sitting around the table. There are as many qualified minorities out proportionally as there are white contractors in the business. People will come to a level of earning capacity. They'll come to that. If there's a vacuum there, they'll come to that. Seattle was, a few years ago, Seattle had few people here. Now look at the people here. Why? Because there are jobs. There are contracts here.
Mr.
If there's a
Eason,
profession.
Did you have some specific
I have a
suggestions
specific
to
question
direct to
that I want to pose.
Councilmember Steinbrook about that?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
The Boost program, as I understand it, does offer some incentives. On the other hand, what guarantee do you have, or what fallback position do you have if the Boost program does not work, that you will in fact improve some of these figures that we are looking at right now? Is the Boost program the only program, and what does it do is there any assurance? Can you provide us with any warm, fuzzy feeling that this program will somehow, in some part, replace some of the benefits that affirmative action provided
we
us?
certainly hope and expect to see that it does, but if it doesn't, we can change it. In fact, we have called for a 6-month and 1-year review and report on the successes of the Boost program or failures. And I should mention that in terms of, as your characterization of going from an enforcement program to one of enticement or whatever, you're right, it is that. But there's a 5% enticement on the contract, and we're about to award, we have just closed a $68 million contract for the Justice Center, and 5% of that is available for compliance with this program for disadvantaged small business.
Okay, how widely
if it can be met.
How widely is that being
That's
advertised?
a fair amount of enticement.
Yes, how widely is that? I mean, is this something that is publicized where prime contractors is available to, where they can read it and understand it, that they'll receive these benefits, or if in fact they hire some minorities?
Well, I would expect with that type of a carrot hanging out there that they, I can't answer that. Perhaps Ken can better than I can, but
Well, it will be publicly advertised for bid, and as Councilmember Steinbrook mentioned, I mean, it is a substantial incentive, and we would hope through this forum, through other means, that, I mean, it's going to be pretty well known that this is a very large contract, and I think a very large incentive for firms to bring on board Boost-eligible subcontractors.
Thank you.
And I think we agree completely with your statements. We are as befuddled by Initiative 200 as you are. We don't know whether Boost is going to work, but it is, I think, the best that we could come up with, and we hope that it will be successful. And as Councilmember Steinbrook mentioned, we want to evaluate how successful it is.
Did any of the other governmental representatives also want to respond to Mr. Eason's question, or was Ken speaking for all of you?
Well, pretty much so, since the partners are trying to have one program very similar. We want to be consistent. So, and I know that's been some of the discussion in the meetings.
On Boost, Ken speaks adequately, but I must invite Mr. Easton to give us the benefit of his ideas and thoughts, because Boost can be one portion of a program, and we need the rest of the program.
Yeah,
So we
and that's the
encourage you.
same question that I asked earlier, is that I mean, we're all open to ideas and other ways, and I thought the direct, contracting with smaller business, with smaller contracts, breaking it out is certainly one we can put efforts into and should. And we want to hear more from you about ways to involve the industry and to do better.
Yeah, well, just very briefly, the problem is that, we're working under a better, cheaper, faster concept as throughout government. And I'm sure I'm in the federal government, and I'm sure that state and local governments have the same constraints. You're trying to keep a contract affordable, and you're trying to give the taxpayer a reasonable product for a reasonable amount of money. And to add a lot of fluff onto a contract by way of incentives and every other thing, it yields it uncompetitive. And that is the problem and the constraint that you're working under. So, yes, we'll certainly, Phyllis, we'll certainly be more than happy to provide you with some of our ideas from the NAACP and some of the other community-based organizations.
I think that we appreciate that comment. I know Mr. Rye wants to follow up, but before Mr. Rye speaks, I would like to again issue an invitation not only to our members here in the City Council chambers, but those in our viewing audience, that this is the Human Rights Commission has assembled this important dialogue to solicit this type of input. And we very much appreciate Councilmember Steinbrook reiterating that invitation for suggestions. And Mr. Rye, I think you have a suggestion.
Yeah, first of all, I would be more than happy to work with you, Councilmember Steinbrook, on that idea of direct contracting. And I think that it's something that should be taken seriously, because I've watched these programs and even participated in the writing of some. And I tell you, everything was always the government took the responsibility and put it on AG